Hey everyone, I'm doing a really cute project using this blue heron mold from Redesign. It's a really cute mold, had never seen it before. I started looking at these molds when some of the ladies on our Facebook group were doing some projects with some different Redesign molds. I think they were from Redesign. So anyway, I'm actually doing two projects with it. But before I show you the project, I just want to thank Annie. She sent me a whole box of goodies. So this is all the stuff that Annie sent me. She sent me a little silicone mat that looks really cool, some napkins for decoupage. It has a really pretty pattern on it. I think I could use that as a background for something. And then all these little cotton swabs. So she was telling me about these last week, and so I ended up purchasing some of those purple ones, but I've not seen the blue, the black, or the pink ones before. They're all, I guess they come in all different sizes. And this is a little silicone squeegee that I know will come in handy because the resin will clean off it real easy. And then here's all different tools for stirring the resin, pushing the resin around, and this looks like a little spatula for clay, which I might be using for this mold sometime in the future. And then this blue one, I have no idea what it is, but there's two of them, and the center of it, something unfolds, and so I don't know, Annie, what is this for? I guess maybe just to push the resin around, or I don't know. Looks like you could prop it up under a canvas or something to level it out maybe. I'm not sure. And then here's some more squeegees. Oh, there's some more paper napkins, and then there's a couple of squeegees in there too. But the most interesting part is the clock pieces. I've never made a clock before, so I see a clock in my future. So here's the part that you put the battery in, and then here's the hands. And I believe there's two sets of hands in there. Oops, they fell out. So here's the two sets of hands. So I guess you have your choice. Oh, they're both gold. I'm not sure which way, I guess they go that way. So anyway, yeah, thank you so much, Annie. That was really sweet of you. So now on to our project. So thank you so much, Annie. And also in this project, I'm going to be using mermaid trash, which was sent to me by Kim from our Facebook group. And I hadn't had a chance to use it yet, and it really made the project look really nice. So I hope you follow along. Before we begin, I am announcing the two winners of the butterfly molds from last week's video. And the two winners are Pam Oliver 9112. Congratulations, Pam. And the second winner is Irma Arguet T4Q. If you could both get a hold of me through Facebook Messenger or my email address, we'll get your butterflies right out to you. So this mold here is called the Feathered Stillness Decor Mold by Prima Redesign. I guess Prima Redesign has all different products. They have transfers, decoupage papers and fabrics. They have paint, things that seal the paint. They have chalk paste. They have stencils. They have brushes, all sorts of tools, casting materials, just all different things. And I think a lot of people use this, well, they use it for a lot of different things, but a lot of people will actually decorate furniture with these molds. They do it with, they use clay in them. The resin I'm using for this project is Bond Crafter casting resin that I have mixed with some Roleo gray pigment paste, and I really had to use quite a bit just to get it to this color, but I guess it doesn't matter because I'm going to be painting the other side of it. I guess the thinner the resin, the better, because it has a lot of very narrow channels to go into, and you have to be careful not to over pour, because if you did and you had to clean between some of the areas, you could actually snap a piece off. The reason I put some coloring in the resin was I thought it would be more forgiving when I paint it. If I was thin on some areas or made any mistakes, it would kind of hide it with having a little bit of color under it. So Redesign has all sorts of molds, and several people on our Facebook group have been making some night lights using some of the molds, which got me looking at them. And I have bought like 5 different ones from Etsy or on Etsy. They're about $25 a piece, and then about $8 shipping. And I guess I got them all on Etsy, and unfortunately, like, I saw one, and then I looked at a video and saw another one, so I ordered them all separate. So if you're interested in them at all, look them all over first, because I think the shipping would be a lot less expensive, because I ended up paying like $32 in shipping because I had 4 separate orders. And I don't sell them myself. You have to go to Etsy, and there's different sellers. The other thing is, you can use resin in this. You could use polyurethane resin, you could use eco resin, and a lot of people who get these actually use some kind of clay, like air dry clay. The reason you would want to use air dry clay, I've seen people put them on the side of vases, glue them to the side of vases. It would be more pliable, and you could kind of put it around the edges. So in other words, you could bend it if you're going to be putting it on something other than a flat surface. Also seen people put these type of molds on furniture, and the advantage of having clay is if you don't want the whole mold, you can just mold part of it and pull pieces apart, and for little designs that you want to put on your furniture, and then you can paint it right into your furniture. So I did end up putting it on my heat table, which cured it in a couple hours, but I didn't end up demolding it for a couple days because I was busy doing something else. But they pop out of there real easy, and the only thing about them that I don't really like is that they have a matte finish. They don't have a shiny finish, and I don't know why they do that. Another video, I'm going to be using more of these molds, and you'll see why it would be best for it to be a shiny finish. For this particular project here, it doesn't really matter because I'm painting it, but for a lot of, I'm wondering if the paint sticks better to it. I wonder if that's why they do it. I don't know. But some other projects that I'm going to be doing are Christmas ornaments, and you end up having to put a shiny finish on it. So if it was already a shiny mold, it would have been a lot easier. Anyway, see all the details in that? I just think this is a really cool mold. I'm really excited about it. All these different pieces, and both of these go, like that one faces to the right, and then the other one goes to the left. So you have opposites, which is nice. And those are little rocks. That's what they're supposed to be. So I'm just putting them over on this blue tablecloth here so that you can see them better. On that white wax paper or parchment paper, it was really hard to see the details in them. So yeah, I just think they're so pretty, and all the little details. And I'm going to be painting these all with acrylic paint, just regular craft acrylic paint. So like I said, I painted this with acrylic paint, and as you all know, I am not a painter, so I went on YouTube to see how other people have painted it, and I actually came across a guy on YouTube who has a time lapse of painting a pink flamingo on a canvas. And the name of it is, his YouTube channel is Gagnon Studios YouTube, so check that out. He also has a full-length detailed one that you can, I think, maybe purchase on his website. But I did want to mention him because that's where I looked for the colors of how it's supposed to be painted. And the great thing about this is it already has all the details in it, like the feathers in that, so that can be seen through the acrylic paint that you put on. So it helps for those of you who can't paint. It makes it look like there's feathers and everything else on it. So I'm going to put this in fast forward and you can watch it. And there's a ton of other artists that have painted pink flamingos, blue herons that you can look up on YouTube, or just go on Pinterest and look for pictures of blue herons just to get an idea how to paint it. And like I said, if I can do this, you guys can do this, because I am not a painter at all. So you can see I have my iPad there, and that's what I'm watching, his time lapse of painting, just to see what it's supposed to look like. So originally I thought this was an IOD mold, Iron Orchid Design mold, because they have very similar molds. They're the same color, same size, look the same. I'm sure there are different designs that you can get. But my very first mold like this was actually an IOD mold, and I guess that's why I thought it was that. And there might be some other companies that sell similar molds also. And these particular molds you can also find on Amazon. Not all of them, but a few of them they do sell on Amazon. In total, it probably took me less than a half an hour to paint the blue heron and all the little pieces that go with it. So in addition to these molds here, they also have all different molds. They have other birds that I was very interested in, but what I ended up buying was a bunch of ornament molds that we can use for the Christmas holiday. So you're probably going to be seeing some more videos coming out. I just kind of saw one that I liked and then saw another one that I liked, so I kind of got carried away with them. So I hope you like watching ornament videos and probably could use them for night lights too. They also have a real cool snow globe one that I ended up buying, so you might have a few more videos with all these different molds. I'm not sure about the Prima molds, but I know the Iron Orchid Design IOD molds are supposed to come out with a new collection, I believe on August 10th, and I'm not sure, this video will probably come out after they already release them, so you might want to check those out if you're interested. The very first mold that I ever bought that was kind of like this mold was actually an IOD mold, and I have about three of them, but the one that I used was a mermaid mold. So I used the mermaid mold to with clay and actually put it at the top of a mirror. And the other two I think have leaves or something on them, and I honestly don't think I ever even used them. Yeah, this is a really tall mirror, but I did those with, I think, air dry clay, painted them, and then glued them to the top. This is a mirror I got at, I don't know, Home Goods, and then I put those tiles on there up at the top too. So I've seen a lot of people use these type of molds to put on furniture, similar to how I attached it to the mirror. I've seen them put different like flower decorations or bird decorations or whatnot right on the furniture with clay, I believe, and glue it on and then paint right over everything, including the dresser. So anyway, here I'm just in fast forward painting all the other little pieces that go with it. And you can make multiples of these. You can cut them down to make them smaller. You can do anything. Well, after the resin's dried, it would be probably kind of hard to cut it down, but when it's still soft, you could. And a lot of people would, when they use the clay, they'll just put the clay in a portion of it that they want and do it that way instead of having to make the whole thing and cutting it down. But anyway, yeah, so I just painted all these little pieces and let them dry.
So I actually purchased this mirror at Walmart for $19.99. I had to go back and look at the receipt. I didn't realize I paid so much for it. It's not that big of a mirror. And I thought I would take the back out, but when I lifted up all these prongs, I found that it must have been glued in some areas. And some areas were loose and other areas were stuck in, and I didn't want to try to force anything. I didn't want it to break. So all you could do is probably use silicone. You would have to use silicone around that edge to seal it up, because there's no way you could, it's too wide of an opening. You would really have to use something more substantial like silicone to seal it up. So I decided to do this mirror another way without pouring epoxy resin all over the top of it. I decided I needed to seal up the acrylic paint that I had painted it with, and what I decided to use was the J. Diction gloss sealer. So this I had actually gotten for the resin-crete that I had done a previous video on, and I know it seals everything up real nice, so I decided just to go ahead and use this. Now there's all different things that you can use to seal acrylic paint. I could have even taken it outside and used a gloss sealer, spray paint sealer I mean. I've seen people use wax. I'm not sure if IOD sells a sealer or not. They may. But this worked perfectly fine, and I just went ahead and sealed it all up. I'm looking at my sponge because there was a little blue on it, and I didn't know if the paint was coming off, but I think that was already on, it was already stained like that. So I just shook it up, poured it into the cap, and then dipped my sponge in it. When you get this sealer from J. Diction, it comes with those sponges. And I just went over all of the pieces with it and sealed it up and let it dry. I guess pouring it into the cap probably is not the best idea. I probably should have put it in a separate cup, because I never thought once I screw the cap back on, unless I clean it out real good, it could actually seal the cap to the top. So next I just put all the pieces on there how I thought I wanted them to go, and I also had the B7000. I should have that turned the other way. The B7000 glue, and that's what I'm going to glue it to the mirror with, because I've decided not to use epoxy resin. I'm going to use some UV resin to attach glass to the very bottom to make it look like he's wading in water. And that's where you find the blue heron most of the time, is wading in water. That's why they have such long legs. So the other thing about the blue heron in there is that they're 4 foot tall. They have like a 6.5 foot wide wingspan, and they're the largest heron in North America. But the weird thing about them, they say they only weigh like 5 to 6 pounds. They're really more of a blue-gray and not as bright of a blue as I painted, but I thought it looked really pretty. And like I said, you'll see them standing in shallow water a lot because that's how they hunt. And I guess they stay still for really long periods of time looking for fish or whatever. And they said that not only do they eat fish, but they eat frogs, salamanders, snakes, crabs, rodents, insects, small birds, and even baby ducks sometimes, and that they swallow their food whole. The other thing they say is that they can fly at 30 miles an hour, and that they have massive nests that they reuse. So just some interesting facts. They also have really good night vision. The other thing they say, that if you see them in your pond in the back, it means that it's a healthy wetland ecosystem, because they only hunt in healthy areas where their presence can signal that an ecosystem is functioning relatively well. So I thought all that was pretty interesting. I didn't know that. So here I am just finishing up gluing everything down where I think it should go. And then here's the glass that I'm going to be using. It's a combination of this, and I think I got that from Michael's in that color, and they may still have it. But that lighter blue I could have bought it from Michael's like that too, because in the past Michael's has had so much different glass, but they have really cut down on what they have. Luckily, they still have the reflective Ashland decorative filler because you can color it any color that you want. The crushed glass like that, only it's just the silver reflective. So anyway, I decided I'm going to be putting this glass down with UV resin. And right here I have, I believe, the J. Diction high viscosity UV resin. And it's probably in your best interest to use high viscosity because high viscosity, of course, is much thicker, so it's not going to run all over the place. I can put it all down everywhere that I want the glass, and it gives me time to then get the glass and put it on. So after I get all the UV resin down everywhere that I want it, then I take my glass, which is in a little paper cup, and whenever you're sprinkling glass like that you just want in one area, it's in your best interest to put it in something that you can kind of make a little spout out of, like squeeze it together, because then you have more control over where you put your glass. So here I am just sprinkling it right on top of the UV resin until I get to the end there, and then I'm going to use a UV light and put it on there for a few minutes. Do move the UV light from side to side so everything gets cured, and then I take it off and pick it up and then kind of shake off everything that didn't stick. Move that to the side, and then I'm going to go over it one more time with some more UV resin in areas that I think it needs more glass. So I put the UV resin on, again the high viscosity J. Diction UV resin in the areas where I think it needs more glass, and then I sprinkle the glass on top of that and put the UV light on it. And then I'm noticing some areas where the B7000 has kind of smushed out under some of the pieces that I put on there. So I'm just trying to clean it off, and what works really well is taking some isopropyl alcohol and just spraying it, and then taking a cloth and cleaning it off. So you really don't need to use a lot of that B7000, or you could end up with a big mess, so you have to be very sparing with it. So then I just continued to clean up in the different areas. It had really come out. I used a Q-tip in some points, but the isopropyl alcohol really helped to kind of dissolve it so that you could take it off with your cloth. And then I did notice that at the bottom of these, I don't know what they are, of the one mold there I wanted it to look like it was kind of coming out of the water, so I added some glass a little bit deeper in that area, put some UV resin on, and then just piled some more glass on it and added the UV light. And continued to clean everything up. So one of the problems that I've run into with the crushed glass from Michael's is one side is mirrored and the other side is white. So most of the time when you color your glass a certain color, like blue or red or whatever, the white side picks up the colorant. So you have one side colored and the other side mirrored, which is real pretty. But oftentimes white pieces stay white. And if you're using just the silver crushed glass, the back of it is all white. So hopefully it all falls with the silver side up, but that doesn't happen all the time, or the colored side up, whichever. A lot of times just the white part is showing. So what I do is I take my silver metallic marker. This one is from Resiners. They have a nice set of metallic markers. And I just go over all the little white pieces with the silver metallic marker, which makes it appear mirrored. And it really makes it sparkle more, and it's so easy to do. There's some glass that they have up at Dollar General that one side is mirrored, but the other side is black. And that's when I first decided that that we have to do something about it. So I covered all the black up with the silver metallic markers, and it worked out perfect. And that glass up at Dollar General, if you can find it, is like £1.50 or 2 pounds for only $3, so it's a really good deal. But anyway, and then these were the last two pieces I almost forgot to put on. I wanted to put these on the edges just to decorate the mirror up a little bit more. So again, I used the B7000, and it was easier for me to put the B7000 on the little bumps because I didn't know if I would get it on the right spot on the resin piece. So I just put it on 4 of the bumps and then stuck that right in the corner. And then I let everything set up and cure. So I was trying to make the pieces go better with the antique gold frame there. So I took some gold metallic marker, but I decided that gold was way too bright. So after I put that on, I found one that was a bit darker, and I thought that looked a lot better. So I actually made another complete set of the blue heron and all the other little parts. And actually I made 2 complete sets. And on one of them, while the resin was still soft, I heated it up with the heat gun a little bit to make it softer. I actually cut down one of the pieces, and you can do this especially when you're using clay. You can break pieces off and just use portions, because I wanted to use this along with another whole one of these to put in the next project that I'm doing. So the next project is going to be right on glass. I decided to do another one on a 14 by 17 inch frame. It's a real rustic looking frame that I got from Hobby Lobby. And at first I didn't like it, but I thought, oh, this would be really nice for this project. Well, you could see my phone there, so I've started filming with a different camera. It's called the Osmo Pocket 3, and you can look at your phone and see what the camera's seeing, because sometimes it's difficult with my phone. But anyway, so with this I wanted to do a project with epoxy resin instead of just gluing them to the glass. So if you look in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, you'll see a little baggie that has something called mermaid trash in it. Kim from my Facebook group actually sent me that, and I haven't used it yet. And she got the idea from Edwidge from Coastal Magnolias, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right or not. I'm not sure if she came up with the idea of mermaid trash, but I know she uses it all the time, and all it is a combination of all your leftovers, sand and glass and shells and glitter and little resin pieces, and it really turns into a treasure. So anyway, I decided to use it for the very bottom of this project. So the first thing I do is I mix up my resin. The resin I'm using for this project is the Bond Crafter casting resin. The reason I'm using a casting resin and not a coating resin is casting resin works fine on glass. It does not leave fish eyes. Casting resin is less expensive than coating resins, and it has a better UV resistance than the majority of the coating resins. So I mix it up, I put it on my project, and I just spread the resin out. Make sure you get up into the corners and along the edges, because although they say resin will level out, it really needs a little bit of help to move. You have to move it around. When I use casting resin for artwork like this, anything besides a mold, I do not use the bubble removal machine. You really don't need to. I only use my bubble removal machine when I'm using molds, because when you spread this resin on glass, you're only spreading it about 1/8 of an inch thick. And when it's only 1/8 of an inch thick, the bubbles can rise to the top very easily, and most of them really dissipate on their own, but I do use the kitchen torch and go over it at least one time to make sure there aren't any bubbles. I put my little blue heron on, and then get out the mermaid trash and just start sprinkling that on the bottom. And thanks again, Kim, for the mermaid trash. It really turned out pretty now that I see how pretty it looks at the bottom of these coastal projects. I think I'm going to start using it more. And next, I just start putting all my little pieces on, and see how it's nice to have a piece of the other piece that I had cut off It just adds some more when you're doing a larger project. You need more to go on it. And I put all the extra pieces on, some more mermaid trash, and then I take some more resin and just kind of drizzle it over everything to make sure everything is secured. And next I start putting my glass on. So these, you can see the two different color blue glass that I have, one that I'm holding in the paper container and one that's sitting on the heat table over there. So this glass is actually from Hobby Lobby. They're two different colors of blue, and they have some glitter in them. Hobby Lobby has glass in the back of the store where they have their stained glass, but they also have glass up in there just past the floral section. They have like cabochons and wedding stuff and things like that, and shells and different things. So if you're ever in Hobby Lobby and you've never gone up to the other area where they have glass, this actually hangs in bags on the wall. And they have it in those two color blues. They might have white and black. So it seems like a lot of the stores are getting rid of their glass, so it's just nice to know another option for glass. I know Michael's has cut way back on it. So this next glass that I'm putting on is actually from Michael's. It's the Ashland Decorative Filler, and it's a very light blue, powder blue glass. And I don't know if I bought it this color at one time. They may have made it in that color, or if I dyed it, but they always have the silver reflective crushed mirrored glass at Michael's that you can easily dye any color with your Tamiya translucent spray paints or with your Dr. Martin Bombay India inks. Some people also use alcohol ink. The only thing is you need to seal it if you're going to use that to color your glass. I sprinkle a bunch at the top, and then I do a little bit down the sides. The only thing with this is when it starts to cure, a lot of times this glass will move and kind of clump into areas, so you really have to come back with like a toothpick every 15 minutes and kind of move it around and make sure that it's not clumping together, or if it is clumping together, just move it apart. And then I also take the resin and go over all of my little pieces there, over the heron and all the plants in that. And like I said, I usually come back every 15 minutes to check for glass placement, to check for bubbles and to retorch if necessary, to get down eye level and look at it to make sure there's no sediment in it, and I usually use a little toothpick to get that out. This particular resin, the Bondcrafter casting resin, is best used at temperatures between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, like most resins, and has about a 45-minute work time. Here I have some extra resin, and I'm putting some mica powders in, and I'm going to be making some butterflies with the rest of it. Because this is a casting resin, I can just dump it into molds, whereas a tabletop or coating resin, you can't. And I do end up putting this on the heat table, and in 2 hours it's cured.
Hey everyone, so didn't these projects turn out so cute? I'm gonna show you the mirror one first. I just think that is so pretty, and how easy. And for those of you who don't want to use resin, I bet you could find some other kind of glue that you could glue this to the mirror, the glass to the mirror without using resin. Maybe you could even use the B7000. Just put a lot of it down and press the glass right into it. And I really wish that I would have used the mermaid trash underneath the blue glass there, because I really think it made the other one look super pretty. But I just didn't want to take the chance of using epoxy resin on the back of that and having it leak and, you know, having to seal it up with silicone and everything else. But anyway, I just love the way that turned out. And so the other one I think is really pretty too. So I'm going to show you up close the mermaid trash at the bottom. Isn't that pretty? I think that just looks so nice. And I wish that I would have used that, like I said, on the bottom of the other one, but you know, anyway, it makes it a little different. And then, so you saw how I took this before it was all the way cured and still soft and cut pieces off and made a larger piece over here. Because, I mean, I could have put a whole bunch of these single ones, but I think that would have looked funny. So I just think that's a really nice idea, how you can just take pieces off of it. And when they do it with clay, I think when the clay's still soft, they take pieces off, or they don't mold the whole thing. I don't know, but I've seen people use a lot of these kind of molds on furniture, to decorate furniture with it. And then, you know, like dressers and stuff like that as decorative pieces in the corners, and just all different things. And then painting right over everything. So these molds are matte molds, which for this, it doesn't make a difference because I'm painting it. But there's some Christmas ornament molds that I'm going to be doing very soon, because when I bought this, then I got online and started looking at other ones, and a couple ladies on our Facebook group have been making, I think they've been using like little ornaments and using them for the front of night lights, and that's what actually got me going, was those night lights that some of the ladies were posting on the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, you really got to join, because that people have so many great ideas. I can't keep up with everybody because I have to think of something different that they haven't already thought of, or some version of it at least, different version of it. So anyway, that's what got me started, was a couple of the ladies posting the night lights and with using different kinds of molds from, I don't know if they were IOD molds or if they were the Redesign molds, but both IOD and Redesign have these type of molds, the flat ones. And like I said, so I started saying they were matte. In the Christmas ornament ones, it would be nice if they're shiny, because you actually have to do a spray gloss or something over it to make them shiny. So anyway, you can look forward to some more videos using these kind of molds. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone use these molds with glass. I've seen them just glue them to things and use them on different things. But anyway, so this was a lot of fun. It was super easy to paint this because it already had the texture, you know, it has the texture in it for the feathers and that. Boy, I hope putting the resin over it didn't take, no, it didn't, because you can still see the texture of the feather. So it made it easier to paint. And I'm not a painter at all. So if I can paint this, you guys can paint it. And you guys probably could paint it better than I could. So I'm trying to think what else to tell you. So the glass, Hobby Lobby. If you've never, you know, everybody thinks the glass for Hobby Lobby is in the back, but this glass here is actually hanging in the front, just past the floral section. So if you're looking for other glass, they have it in a few colors, and it kind of has some glitter on it too. And then of course that's the Michaels Ashland decorative filler. So I don't know what else to tell you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. If you enjoy the channel and haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. I do all sorts of glass and resin art. I've really been getting into molds and adding molds to glass to molds, like I did with this. Excuse me, I have a terrible cold. I don't know. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.